Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we have the latest from the live radar. And for the latest UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It's continued to be fairly settled throughout the rest of this week into the weekend, and of course the start of the following week, as we are going to continue to see a westerly flow starting to develop. It's not particularly unsettled westerly, or at least it's not unsettled at the moment, so it is still going to be showery in places, just no huge big walls of rain expected. Dry conditions further southwards, and even a bit of warmth around over the next couple of days, as we do see a bit more in the way of extensive sunshine. As many of you might have seen today, there were some showers around, so we're not going to completely avoid rain, but we're not going to see anything anywhere near as intense as what we'd seen earlier this week or last week with those big thunderstorms. As we progress into the longer range, this westerly flow does continue to develop, but it's just exactly how does the jet stream respond into early August? Are we going to see it shifting northwards? Are we going to see it shifting southwards, which would be a bad sign? Could mean more lower pressure. Or are we going to see it head well to our north, but allow a cut-off low to develop? And that is what happened in yesterday's videos from some of the runs, and it is continuing to happen in some of the runs today. It's where we've got big high pressure all around us, but because it's so overwhelming, it cuts off these lows from the main flow. And it means that not only do we see some lower pressure nearby, but it's very slow moving. That means where rain sets up, showers, instability sets up, it doesn't move particularly quickly, and it can dump a lot of rain over a number of days. And we'll have a look at that in more detail in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, I see a few showers across western Scotland at the moment, recording this about 9:45 in the evening. A few showers elsewhere, and we did see some heftier showers across the east of England today. Nothing too crazy, but did give some light to moderate rain for quite a few for some time during the afternoon into the early hours of the evening. If you look at the temperatures at the moment, not too bad. You can see in the Midlands and sort of central areas where we've had a bit of sunshine and avoided the showers in the east. Temperatures are still holding up around the high teens. Not too bad out there today, into the low to mid 20s, and that will continue over the next few days. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see those showers down the east coast clearing away through this evening, and generally a pretty dry night, bar a few bits and bobs of rain across western Scotland. Into Friday, a bit of sunshine around, but still some relatively thick cloud in places, especially further northwards, which could prohibit temperatures a little bit. Into Saturday, still quite a bit of cloud around and a few showers, but again, nothing too bad. Perhaps a few more heftier showers breaking out in the latter parts of the afternoon in the Far East. Look very convection based, popping out of nothing really in a matter of a couple of hours. So again, a bit sceptical of how that does develop. Again, we need to keep a close eye on that, as that could give a couple of hours of heavy rain in the east. But for most, it's generally dry with a low chance of a shower. But you can see there are quite a few dotted, very isolated showers around. Into Saturday evening, some heftier rain comes to western Scotland, but for most it remains dry in the south and the east. And then into Sunday, another day where it is generally dry, cloudy, though in many places, and again, smattering of showers. Into Monday, not too bad. Again, very similar conditions where it is generally dry, but again, quite a few frequent showers. And then finally into Tuesday, similar conditions, perhaps even drier there with some sunshine building. And you start to see the north-south split appearing, more cloud and showers to north of Scotland, drier, clearer conditions to the south. Again, symbolic of that low pressure, high pressure split. By no means is it a big split. It is only kind of a 10 to 15 millibar split, not a 30 or 40 millibar split, which we can see sometimes during winter months. So it's nothing too ridiculous, and that's why the contrasting conditions aren't massive, but it is still notable, and it will still have impacts on what we see at the surface. If we look at the max temperatures this afternoon, it actually get very warm in a few spots up towards the low to mid 20s, so not too bad out there. Into Friday, even warmer, 26, 27, feeling humid. Into Saturday, temperatures again will respond in places, 25, 26. Sunday could get up to 23, 24, but again with a few more showers further north, it's a bit more thicker cloud, prohibit those temperatures a bit. Monday, 25 degrees, and finally Tuesday actually looks really quite warm, 28 or 29. Again, that's showing that north-south split. So yes, nothing incredible in the south, it's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's a 3 to 5 degrees above average for most of these sort of mid to high 20s. So there's nothing, as said, out of this world, but it's definitely much more positive than high teens, for example. So pretty warm conditions coming up there as we head into early next week. But again, we'll have to keep a very close eye on the exact details of that, as again, positioning of the high pressure, air masses, wind directions will make all the difference. Now, if you look at the medium to longer range now, the latest GFS, again, you can see westerly flow coming in at the moment. High pressure continues to extend in. Low pressure tries to make a bit more of an influence there, perhaps into early August. But again, we start to see that north-south split with high pressure to our south, low pressure to our north. And eventually, out towards the end of this run, we do start to see that cut-off low pattern developing. High pressure to our north, east and west. But you see this trap low sat over the top of us. If we look at the flow, you can see a bit of a jet stream heading southwards, a bit of a jet stream heading northwards. You see very little activity over the top of us, and that essentially means whatever we've got over the top of us and anything in this sort of sector isn't going to move far. And that's what we're seeing with this low. It's cut off from the main flow. It's not following the main track of the jet stream, and it means it's not going to move particularly quickly, and it could dump a lot of rain. As you can see here, lots of showers breaking out over the coming hours with this. I would expect those accumulated precipitation to build up. Not quite as much as yesterday, as the cut-off low develops a little bit earlier on in the run, but a couple of days. So, it's not set in stone, dates and positionings and intensities, but definitely is something that the model, especially the GFS, is trying to do. If you look at the GM, broadly, very similar over the next few days with this westerly flow. Again, high pressure sat to our south, low pressure to our north. As we head to day 10, no huge signs of a cut-off low here. You can see no high pressure to our north, which essentially means that high pressure stays all together towards the Azores, extends in, so it gives us dry and warm conditions, but it continues that westerly flow. You see a flat westerly coming in, no split of the jet stream, and it essentially means no cut-off low developing here at day 10. However, as we saw from the GFS, it does it around day 12 to day 14. So it could be something that comes if we do see a bit of a split in the jet here. Again, something we'll keep a very close eye on. And finally, if we look at the latest ECMWF, broadly similar with a westerly flow over the coming days. Eventually, as we head towards day 10, potentially a few signs of a little bit of a cut-off low there, but it's more just an air of instability within the flow, not a massive cut-off from the main flow, but that could occur if this high extends a little bit further northwards towards Greenland. Yeah, we could see a bit of a low getting trapped there, but nonetheless, pretty similar. High pressure, never centered over the top of us, always extending in from the west, keeping things dry at times, but not completely dominating the whole pattern. Now, if you look at the latest ensembles, generally hovering above and below average over the next few weeks. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Pretty dry over the next week as we see more high pressure extending in. And then you can see into early August when those cut-off low risks start to appear, precipitation does pick up. Now, if you head over to the latest ensembles, generally above and below average over the next couple of weeks. Temperatures not going to be too bad. Of course, well, we've got these cooler spots. It's not coinciding with massive walls of rain. So although, yes, upper air temperatures might not be great at the surface, it still won't be too bad. A bit fresh, but still likely to get into the low 20s in quite a few spots. Precipitation not too high, lots of convection, lots of pop-up showers. So you're never going to see it too much here. But you can see it's not going to be bone dry, but we're not going to see huge amounts of rain either. So really, not much going on in the latest GFS. ECMWF is a little bit more interesting if we look at the midnight run. Up and down in terms of the temperatures, similar to the GFS, broadly hovering around the 1991-2020 mean, but yeah, deviating at times. But precipitation signals the same out to day 7. Beyond that into early August, a bit of a pickup. Again, that could be signs that ECMWF longer term is picking up on the risk of that cut-off low a little bit more than the GFS ensembles are this evening. So again, interesting signs, a bit of a split appearing there between the ensembles. It is out towards kind of day 10 and beyond, so I would expect to see some uncertainty, but already starting to see quite a bit here. So something to keep a close eye on. Again, it's not going to do anything horrific at this stage. What it could do, though, is bring a pretty unsettled start to August, wherever that cut-off low develops. Of course, normally, when we talk about cut-off low, it is further southwards, where it gets cut off from the main flow to the north of Scotland this time of year. So it would probably be southern England, parts of Wales, that could be impacted most. You see here, the pickup is in London, of course. So, again, it is touch and go, exactly what we'll see. But it is kind of the big thing that we are sort of leading up to. The next week, not much is really happening. It's going to be that. So early August point where the next sort of pattern change could be. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you again for another video soon.